Hi guys, it's Mary here and welcome back to another speed build. Today we are actually building a school for my Build a City Challenge neighborhood. And I've actually never built a school in The Sims 2 before in all of my years of playing this game, but I had a rough idea of what I wanted this school to look like, partly because I was inspired by another video that I saw here on YouTube by Granetka, so shout out to them. And also I was inspired by the school that my father went to in Austria, so that was kind of my blueprint for creating the school, and I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. So as you can see here, I've started to decorate the outdoor area of the school a bit. I'm putting down the basketball court here, for example, and I knew from the start that I wanted to have the schoolyard be divided into different parts, where one part would be like an exercise area where they can play basketball, and another part would be kind of like a playground area for the younger kids, and then another part would be like an area where you can relax and just sit and talk with your friends about the latest gossip. So that's what I started doing here by putting down the basketball court. But then, as you can see, I went back and started to pick out the doors and windows for the building instead. And that's usually what my building process is like. It's a bit all over the place. And the reason for that is because if I get a stroke of inspiration, like with the basketball court, for example, I don't want to forget about it later. So then I just put the things down right away, and I continue later when I'm done with the other burst of inspiration that I'm getting right after that. And as you can see here, I'm having a bit of trouble trying to pick out the wallpaper that I like for the foundation. And I tried to stick to using non-CC wallpapers. And for the whole build of the school, I actually tried to use as little CC as possible. My intention from the beginning was to use no custom content at all, but then once I started building and decorating, I found myself wanting to use some of the custom content in my game because it looked so much better than the things that shipped with the game. So if you want to download this house, there will be a link in the description, but as always, be sure to use the Sims 2 Clean Pack installer so that you can make sure that you don't get any CC that you already have in your game, or that you get any CC that you don't want in your game. So here you can see that I'm trying to decide which fence to surround the schoolyard with, And I originally was going to go with the gray brick one that you saw back there, but then I felt like it ended up looking too much like a prison or some sort of really strict institution, so I ended up going with this red brick one instead. And I know that it doesn't completely match the color of the school building, but I still felt that it looked better than the gray brick fence that you saw in the beginning. But let me know in the comments, which fence do you think that I should have used? And here you can see me creating the playground area that I talked about in the beginning of this video, but it actually ended up being quite a bit smaller than I had envisioned, but in the end I think it turned out alright. But you can see here that I'm struggling a bit to fit all of the playground equipment, but on the other hand, there is already a separate playground that I built for this neighborhood where the kids of this neighborhood can go and have some fun. So I thought if they need to have some fun while they're in school, they can play basketball. And as you can see later, I also added in a chess section in the park where they can sit below the trees and just play chess with each other. So I think that the playground equipment that I added was sufficient in the end. And here you can see me starting to add in some trees on the lot, and I just love adding trees and other greenery in The Sims 2. I think it gives every lot such a cozy vibe, and as you can see on the other lots and in the neighborhood in the background, I have a tendency to add a lot of trees, no matter the type of lot or the neighborhood, because as I said, I just think it gives the lots and the neighborhood such a cozy vibe. And especially in fall season in the game, when everything turns into bright orange and bright yellow, it just looks so pretty. So I'm actually really happy with the amount of trees and greenery I put down for this lot. I think it's just the right balance for this type of lot. Alright, so now we are finally getting into the inside of the school building, and I actually had quite a good idea of what I wanted to do. I had actually gone so far as to sketch it out on one of my notepads before I started this build. So I knew that I wanted the middle section that you can see here with the stairs. That was going to be your regular type of hallway with the lockers, and I originally wanted to have a reception somewhere in there as well, but then later on I realized I didn't have room, so I had to scrap that idea. But yeah, as you can see in the back, I put down a smaller or two smaller rooms, and those are going to be bathrooms. And then on the sides I had some ideas for different classrooms. I didn't want all of the classrooms to just be like classrooms with the desks where the students can sit and then a desk for the teacher in the front. I wanted to switch it up a bit depending on what kind of topic they were going to learn about in the classrooms. So you will see me do that later on in the video when I actually start to decorate the different classrooms. And here on the right side it's actually going to be a cafeteria. So that's why I put this big vault opening instead of a regular door. So here, as you can see, I've started to decorate the cafeteria area of the lot, and I actually decided to put one of those stoves in where it spawns a cafeteria worker, so that if I have my Sims visit this lot, they won't have to bring any lunch boxes by themselves. They can just have a nice hot lunch being cooked for them and then eat it in the cafeteria. And as to what I'm going to do with this lot after I finish building it, I know that there are actually mods that allow you to play this school, like actually have your Sims be teachers and have them call all the neighborhood children to classes and then manage the classes and the breaks and everything in between. And I think that's really neat that those mods exist, but for me personally, that's a bit too much micromanagement. I think that in The Sims 3, for example, the rabbit hole buildings were excellent additions in that you could actually see where your Sims were working instead of just having them use the carpool and then disappear for a couple of hours like they do in Sims 2. But even in The Sims 3, I think all those different options that were available for your Sim while they were at work, even those were a bit too much to me. For me, it's like I like the idea of being able to see where my Sims are, but I don't necessarily have to manage every little bit of their day. So I think what I'm going to do with this lot when it's finished is that I'm going to have it in my game as a community lot, and I'm going to have my child or teenage Sims visit in their free time. And that's pretty much it. And as I said, this lot will be available for download, so if you use those mods that allow you to play a school in the game, I'm not sure if this lot will work with that or if you have to do any further customizations, but hopefully you can just plop it in your game and add the modded objects and be good to go. So here we are now decorating the first of the classrooms, and as I said, I didn't want all of the classrooms in this building to look the same, so this will actually be the only regular classroom. And I realized in the middle of this build that I didn't actually have any custom content blackboards, so I tried to get around that by making the wall behind the teacher's desk look like one giant blackboard and having it look like someone drew on it and drew some worms and butterflies with a marker, and then I put in the smaller blackboard to the side for the younger children that may not be able to reach all the way up. So I tried to make this classroom look like a combined geography and science classroom, and you will see later that I'm putting in a lot of maps. I put a globe in there as well, and I also put an aquarium and some bookshelves in there. So this classroom is the one that looks the most like your average classroom would, and I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. So if you watched this video this far, then you probably like my content, and if you want to see more videos like these, you should definitely subscribe to my channel. I post speed builds mostly, but I also post creative sim videos and gameplay videos sometimes, and the videos I have coming up are very similar to this, I would say, where I continue to build community lots and lots for the Sims of this Build a City Challenge neighborhood. So if you want to see more content like that, then definitely hit that subscribe button, and if you could leave a like as well, that would really help me out. So here we are with the decorating of the next classroom, and this one is actually going to be a combined library and computer classroom. And I'm sure that these types of classrooms don't exist in most schools anymore, or I know at least in the school that I went to, they were on the decline when I was leaving school about 10 years ago. So these types of classrooms might be a little bit outdated, but I figured that The Sims takes place in like the early 2000s anyways, so I thought what the heck, might as well add one, because I also think it's kind of cozy, the idea of having a library setting where you can just sit and learn about computers. So you see here that I'm putting in these little more modern looking desks, and then I struggled quite a bit on which computer to give the students, because as I said, most of the computers that ship with the Sims 2 game are way outdated by now. So I kind of thought about giving the students these high-end laptops that you see here. But then I figured, nah, it's still a school, it would be way too expensive to give all of the students laptops, at least in this time and day that I have in mind for the neighborhood. So they ended up getting these boxy, old looking computers, but I think it turned out really cute. And here you see I'm adding a TV screen in the back for like PowerPoint presentations, and also some bookshelves. So I'm really happy with this classroom as well, and I think it gives the school more of a unique vibe than if I had just gotten along and made all the classrooms look exactly the same. And for this last classroom, I wanted to turn it into an art room, and I think this might be my favorite of the classrooms, because art class was my favorite class when I was in school, and I would have loved to have an art classroom that looked like this. Ours was really boring in comparison, so I ended up adding some of these, what are they called again? Easels, that's what they're called. And also the ceramics tables, and I debated with myself about putting a sewing machine in there as well, but then I thought that would maybe be a bit overkill. So what I did was instead I put a toy making bench behind the teacher's desk to kind of imply that the teachers are doing their own projects here in the classroom as well. And for the students, I put some clutter down to really make it look like this whole classroom has just been used and no one's even had the time to clean up after themselves yet. And I really like how it turned out. I had a bit of trouble picking out the decor or like paintings. So in the beginning, I put up some of the posters that ship with the Sims 2 games that looked like they had been drawn by children, and I thought that they fit in perfectly. But then I wanted to cover up some more of the walls with paintings, and that's when it got tricky, because I'm planning on building an art museum for this neighborhood later on, so I didn't want the most expensive paintings to hang off in the art classroom at the local school. So it was a bit tricky in the end, but I think I managed just fine, and I'm also really happy with the way that this classroom turned out. So as for what's left in this video now is that I'm going to be decorating a small music room and also be decorating the hallway that's outside of this classroom. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that you liked it, and as I said, the download link will be available in the description. And I hope to see you all back here again for my next video. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope that you're having a really nice day going forward. Take care. Bye!